everyone, and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 4 of my best tips for the racing in the UK and Ireland on Boxing Day. Really looking forward to the Christmas period. There's going to be some top class racing, and I'm going to be making videos for every single day of the festive period. So to not miss out, make sure if you haven't done so already to give us a thumbs up, like the video, and also as well to subscribe. And it means if you do subscribe, every time I upload a video, you will get a notification on your app or on your desktop to say that I have uploaded a video. So make sure you do that if you haven't done so already. But before I get into those tips, I just got a couple of things I want to go through with you. First of all, I hope some of you were able to watch my video for Tuesday's racing. We had a good day as we had a 6-1 winning nap at Huntington with Zaguli, who landed a little bit of a gamble there for the Moore family. And also as well, our other selection, our next best, City Escape, ran a credible race there to get the each way profit at 7-1. So it was a good day on Tuesday. Also as well, I hope some of you were able to watch the Hong Kong preview I did with Shireen Wu, and also as well my fellow In the Saddle podcast co-host Mark Karosky. We were previewing some of the key races at Happy Valley, and I had actually a nap winner over there, a 9-2 nap winner, and also as well a 9-4 winner. So I hope some of you are able to tune into that. The best place to know where I'm doing previews and other things and collaborating with other people is to follow me on Twitter, because that's where I always post links to my work. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, just make sure you follow my handle. It's at LuckyLoader15, and again, there's a link to it in the description box below. And also as well, in the description box below, you'll find links to the latest In the Saddle podcast, where again I sat down with Mark Karosky, the usual suspects as well, former jockey Paul Callahan, and racing blogger Katie Clements. We were talking about the festive racing over the Christmas period, going through all the big key races such as the King George at Kempton, the Savills Chase, the Christmas Hurdle, plenty of good talking points. The Welsh National as well, got a really strong fancy in that race, and some of you, if you've been following my work for some time, might know what that horse is. So yeah, plenty of good stuff to listen to in that podcast. And if you haven't listened to it yet, again, there'll be links in the description box below to all the major podcast platforms. We're available on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes. So yeah, if you haven't listened to it already, just hit one of the links in the description box below, and I hope you enjoy listening to that. So anyway, enough of promoting myself now. Let's get into the main stuff, what you all want to know about. Now, I'm not actually going to be doing an actual tip in this video for the King George. I just thought it was such a minefield, really, more of a race to watch rather than a betting proposition. However, some of you again might know what I fancy, and you can listen to the podcast if you want to know what I'm backing in the King George and what my thoughts are on that race. But yeah, these are just going to be 4 tips I really fancy to win on Boxing Day. So let's get into the first of them. And some of you might already know the nap from the In the Saddle podcast, as I actually put it up at 10-1 at the time recording, and it's going to be running in the 1:15 at Kempton with a horse called Hold the Note for Tom Scudamore and Mick Shannon. Now, a lot of people that followed my work over the last year or so will know that I've really fancied this horse on quite a few occasions and had my fingers burnt a couple of times. I remember last year, this is the same race we actually put him up in, when he was running so well for a long way. I was actually there at Kempton on King George Day last year, doing a bit of work there for a PR marketing company I work for. One of the best days I've ever had on the race course, and I was watching him and I was absolutely happy with the way he was travelling, because he was travelling very strongly. But there were a couple of foolers in that race, and a fooler fell in front of him and badly hampered him, and Tom Scudamore just then had to call it a day and pull him up. So we never really got to see the full extent of how well he was travelling and what he would have delivered at the end of the race. I think he would have gone close, because after that performance he did show some really good form last season. He stuck up and tripped the race on Saturday at Kempton, and the race last year is over 2.5 miles. So he then went up and trip by going to Warwick. He finished second in a grade 2 behind Kim Bailey's 2 for Gold. He then went to the novices handicap chase at Cheltenham, and I really fancied him there. I said he was my bet of the entire festival. I tipped him up at 10 to 1 each way. We got the place money with him, but in the end it just turned out to be a red hot renewal of that race, won by Imperial Aura, who's gone on to bigger and better things already this season. And also as well, Galvin was in there as well, who finished in second place for Gordon Elliott. I think he's still, or he was, favourite for the National Hunt Chase at the festival next year. So it looked like a red hot renewal. He was running off that day off a mark of 145, and he's going to be running off a mark on Boxing Day off a mark of 140. So he's £5 lower for that run. And so far this season, on every single start, he has been campaigned over 3 miles, and I just think quite clearly he doesn't stay that trip, and it's going to be the first time this season he's dropping back down in trip to 2.5 miles. So I think it's well worth another crack. I thought he ran actually really well at Cheltenham last time in a really decent novices chase over 3 miles and 2 furlongs, and again evidently he just didn't quite stay, but he jumped really well in the main for a long way, but just got tired in the closing stages and ultimately didn't stay. So going back to 2.5 miles should be a good move for him. This race has also worked out quite well for the Connections in recent years. They won it in 2018, the Radfords and Nick Shannon, with Glenn Forster, who you might remember I think went off favourite in the end for the 2019 Arkle, and also as well another horse that they did quite well with, Mr. Whitaker. He won the Novices Handicap Chase at the Cheltenham Festival back in 2018. Ran in this race, I think he made the frame, I think he might have finished second. So it's been a good race for these Connections over the years, and one they do like to target. Also as well, this race as a whole is always a really good red hot solid form line for later on down the season. I remember the first 4 last year were Comanche, Red, then you had Simply the Bets in there, who was a Cheltenham Festival winner. You had On the Slopes as well, who went on a bit of a roll, winning a couple of races. And also as well, Mr. Mago won a race at Doncaster, and I remember putting him up that day. So yeah, it was quite a good race last year, and always one that throws up plenty of winners. But I just think the experience already of what Hold the Notes had coming in here tomorrow on Boxing Day, where he's already showed that he could run well for a long way until he fell. He's already had a good level of form. I just think that experience could hold him in really good stead, and you don't get too many horses that would have been eligible to run in this 2 years in a row, you know. So I think there's a lot to like about him on Boxing Day. I think 7 to 1 is very good value, and in my personal opinion, I actually think he should be at least 4 to 1. I'm surprised you can still get 7 to 1, and just for that reason I'm going to recommend an each way selection as well. You can currently get 4 places at the 7 to 1 with Paddy Power and Betfair. I'm really sweet on Hold the Note. I think there's just so many things in his favour on Boxing Day, and he would definitely have to be my bet, I would say, of the entire Christmas period. I'm really sweet on his chances, and it could be an early sign there of how we're going to do over the Christmas period. I hope he definitely wins, because I'm already on at 10 to 1, but I'm tempted still going again at 7s. So yeah, Hold the Note it is going to be my nap of Boxing Day. We then go over to Ireland to Leopardstown for my only tip on the other side of the RSC for Boxing Day. Probably will have a few more over there as we get better quality races. But I'm going to be going to the 2:15 at Leopardstown, the only Grade 1 on the card there that day for the Racing Post novice chase, and this is going to be an extra tip. And I'm going to be going with Blackbow here for if I can get the correct for David Mullins. I always get David and Danny Mullins mixed up. David Mullins riding for Willie. Now this horse, you might remember Blackbow a couple of seasons ago. He was actually a bump horse and did very well, actually won both the starts here at the track in bumpers, and then when he went over hurdles he never quite met the expectations. However, I think he had a couple of setbacks along the way, but last time we saw him he made his chase debut at Navan, where he did really well that day, jumped from the front, and I thought it was a really encouraging performance, and in the end it was quite an easy victory for him. David as well was aboard that day, so him keeping the ride is definitely a positive in my opinion, because Paul Townend is going to Limerick to ride Asterion for Longe in the Grade 1 novice chase there on Boxing Day, so that's why Paul Townend isn't aboard, but I still think Blackbow's got a very good chance in this race. Now, the horse that he beat at Navan, Antukas, has already got a few form lines with a couple of others in here. Now, Antukas ran behind Size and Potsy in a really decent handicap, and I fancy Size and Potsy to be a very good horse later on in the season from Jessica Harrington's yard. He's got a lot of good form, and Size and Potsy bumped into Felix Deji at Punchestown a few weeks ago, and there's a few form lines out. I know Felix Deji is heading the betting for this race at the moment, but if you actually look at the weights and the measures and the lengths and all that kind of thing, there's not really much in it between Blackbow and Felix Deji. Also as well, Felix Deji, I believe, hasn't run here at Leopardstown, whereas Blackbow has. Okay, he was a bump horse, but I still like that element, you know, and the ground probably will be good to soft. I don't think it's going to be too testing at Leopardstown or over the Christmas period. They're not really expecting too much rain, and they've already apparently started watering on some of the courses. I can't remember if it's the fence course or the hurdle course that they started watering, so I doubt it's going to be really tested in conditions at Leopardstown. And I just think that will also as well suit Blackbow, and if he can get an easy time up there making the running, I just think he might be able to use his good jumping and also as well his engine to dictate things, and I just really fancy him to go well. You can currently back him at 7-2. I think he's been a little bit underestimated in the market. I think people will think from when he was a hurdle horse that he didn't quite deliver up to expectations, but I just think going over the fences could be the making of him, and I think he'll go very close in the 2:15 at Leopardstown. So he is going to be my extra tip of the day. We then go to Wincanton for the Pertemps qualifier with my next best, who runs in the 2:45 with a horse called Southfield Harvest for Lorcan Williams, claiming free, riding for Paul Nicholls. You can currently back this horse at 7-2. Now there's a couple of decent, interesting rivals in here. You're going to have Shang Tang, who Southfield Harvest ascot last time when he finished second to him. However, he's going to be on slightly better terms on Boxing Day, because there's going to be a £5 swing at the weight, so that's definitely going to help our selection there. Also as well, the testing ground will help him too, because it's going to be quite a slog, I think, at Wincanton. They've had a lot of rain down in the West Country in recent weeks, and we've already seen that Southfield Harvest can handle those testing conditions. He's actually won over 3 miles in the past before at Ludlow going this way round, making all from the front. So yeah, I think that's going to serve him in good stead, and I expect him to be ridden very handedly. Also as well, he could possibly make the running, and if he does, I just think he might be able to put his stamina to good effect. And Shang Tang might not appreciate the ground so deep, and I just think that £5 at the weights could make the difference with our selection. Also as well, the horse that I should be wary of is Mario de Pau for Sam Thomas, who did run in the Welsh Champion Hurdle, which is a red hot piece of form this season already, and then he went on to win on his next start. I think he won at Wetherby. However, my concern for him would be stepping up in trip, so that would be a slight negative for me. I think you're going to want to stay a little bit extra than 2 miles 5 furlongs to win this, and I think Southfield Harvest has that in his locker. And I think off a mark of 130, making his handicap debut, that's very workable, and I suspect there could be a little bit more to come. He potentially could be a Martin Pipe horse later on down the line if Lorcan Williams continues to ride him. I could see him fitting into that mould. So that's going to be my selection in the 2:45 at Wincanton, and my next best of the day, Southfield Harvest. 7-2 win only bet. The long shot of the day then comes in the last race at Kempton in the 3:35 with a horse called Runswick Boy for Adam Wedge and Emma Lavelle. You can currently back this horse at the time of recording with Skybet at 10-1, who are offering 6 places on the race, and I'm going to recommend an each way selection here for Adam Wedge and Emma Lavelle. Now, Emma Lavelle's team have been in really good form of late. They've had 3 winners from their last 9 runners, so they're operating at a 33% strike rate at the moment. And Adam Wedge has built up a good relationship with Emma in the last couple of years or so. And this horse, Runswick Boy, is going to be making his handicap debut on Boxing Day off a mark of 121, which I think looks really reasonable. Now, he comes in here off the back of a recent win at Taunton, where he really did have to dig deep to win that day, but I just think that trip is a little bit shorter than his ideal conditions or what he's ultimately going to want to get, and he's going to be stepping up in trip by half a mile on Boxing Day, which I think is really going to suit him. If you look at his pedigree, he's bred to slightly get further, and I think the fact that he's already shown ability over the shorter trip will suggest that going up in trip, he's definitely going to appreciate it, because if you actually look at some of his form, he's actually shaped like he will appreciate that extra distance and trip. In fact, actually, a couple of starts ago, he finished second at Exeter behind Brave Man's Game of Paul Nicholls, who looks a really smart horse, who definitely will be a graded player. I think he potentially could be running in the shallow hurdle. Don't quote me on that, but I think he's going to be running in some nice races soon, Brave Man's Game, and could potentially be a top-class horse. He's now rated 143 over hurdles, so that means despite only being 11 lengths, our horse is technically rated £22 behind him on ratings, and I think that's definitely a really workable mark. I'd be disappointed if this horse wouldn't have a few pounds up his sleeve on handicap debut. Yes, he might lack the experience of a big field handicap, but quite a few in these do. But I think he's been given a really workable mark for his handicap debut, and there's a lot more to come from it, and I think that step up in trip will really help him. So Runswick Bay in the 3:35 at Kempton, I think he's got a really good chance going close, and I'll be disappointed, especially as well with the 6 places on offer, if he couldn't at least make the frame in this race. So Runswick Boy is going to be running for me in the 3:35 at Kempton, and he's going to be my long shot for Boxing Day. So let's then go through the 4 tips. In the 1:15 at Kempton, Hold the Note is the nap of the day, 7-1 each way, 4 places, Betfair and Paddy Power. In the 2:15 at Leopardstown, the extra tip of the day, that's Blackbow, 7-2 win only bet. In the 2:45 at Wincanton, Southfield Harvest, 7-2 win only bet. And then in the 3:35 at Kempton, we go with Runswick Boy, 10-1 each way, 6 places, Skybet. So yep, they're the 4 tips for Boxing Day. Let me know what you're going to be backing on Boxing Day, who you're going to be backing as well in the King George. I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments box below, so if you want to leave me a comment, just do so in the comments. Also as well, like I said earlier, please subscribe here to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and remember to give us a thumbs up. Also as well, if you want to follow me on social media, the best place to do so is on Twitter, where my handle is @LuckyLoader15. Make sure you listen to the latest in the Saddle podcast. And if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, my website is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly, have a Merry Christmas, and hopefully we can have some winners on Boxing Day.